If you don't want to be the last man standing on your team while you're lurking, then in this video I'm going to cover some guiding principles for how to properly lurk. I'll talk about the phases of a round and what that means for your lurk, and practical examples that illustrate how to properly take advantage of those phases as you lurk for each rank. Before we get into conceptual stuff, I want you to watch how this round plays out between Gen G and Sentinels. Focus on this Cypher here and how he matches his team's cadence at each stage in the round.
Sure, on defense.
Seems to be a return to that, right?
It seems to a little bit, but bear in mind we've only seen it once prior to this. So that could have just been their game plan against Heretics. This defensive setup, for example, much more reminiscent of what they've been doing early on in this game and more similar to what they've done classically on the map.
It's the Meteor Classic, as I was talking about. I mean, the guy just likes to go walkabouts. Solo plays towards showers. He tries to play off the timings as well and noise that the rest of his team makes.
And I would say that this is Munchkin's weakest map individually. I think that's one of the reasons that Sen will have picked this and felt confident about it too. Gen G's map pool is just outrageously good, but this is probably down towards the bottom. If they're able to recover here and put up an X, might just be the goats. Who knows?
Let's see. Gander now seriously at this bonus round as a call being made fast. Look at that Stimmy 10's following it through all the way into Lamps. Stunned up. There was that connection and they are just running and gunning. Current didn't stand a chance. A second go of things now. Dizzy, there's some value. Blinded up, but at least Lakia can stand his ground. Rooted into place with 40 seconds left. Time, not too much of a problem just yet, as long as they do slow it down and pick off these remaining players around. Sassy, back at the site, go!
So lurks can happen within the same site or on the other side of the map, but the important thing about a lurk is that it matches your team's tempo through a round. Think of a typical round of Valorant and the phases within it as this double diamond. Your round on the top and your team's round on the bottom can be slightly different from phase to phase. So when your team is gathering intel at the start of a round, you want to be doing the same for your team in areas that they can't gather intel on and then communicating that intel to your team. Then, when your team is adjusting to that intel, you need to be creating pressure either on the opposite end of the site or on the opposite end of the map to make the next step, the plant execution, much easier for your team to manage. In that plant execution step where your team is beginning their push into a site, the pressure you created earlier should have made it a little bit easier for them. But now that the focus is on the spike going down, you need to work with that and start to work your way throughout the map to help in the post plant. And when your team is in a post plant hold, your goal is to make it as difficult as possible for the defenders to retake a site. At this stage in the process, your goal is really mostly to allow your team to control the site by pinching the defenders between you and them. All right, so I want to use one of my recent games here as an example. Here, I'm just trying to gather intel, and I get super lucky with a pick. Normally, that's not the way to lurk, but I get a good pick here, and I can create this additional pressure. So that ult lets me create pressure on this breach to make it easier for my teammates on B. He knows that I could be here, and I know that he's there. So my goal here now is to just be patient and keep him here as long as possible so that my team can now execute on B while I start to time my push. So they're just communicating that I'm aware of the fact that Breach is here to give them the intel that he's here. So now they're planting, and this is where I start to time the push, right? The goal again is to pinch the enemy in between myself and my team to make it more difficult for them to actually get to the spike. Unfortunately, the sky falls here. The Sova really could have played this better and actually pushed it a lot quicker and actually gone ahead and diffused the spike, to be honest, but I got fortunate in that he didn't do that. And there you go. That's the simplest type of lurk that you can pull off in the game that really follows the basic cadence of Valorant. Depending on the rank, I definitely recommend focusing on bits and pieces of the double diamond though. If you're in iron through gold, you should probably focus on the initial intel gathering to help your team, and then focus on playing with your team as quickly as you can after that. But if you're in ranks above that, it's good to start creating pressure since there's usually some form of rhythm to a game, and you can count on the defenders to actually play the game right. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if you like these shorter style videos, let me know in the comments and I can keep making them. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.